Okay. All right. Yay. What? All right, we're getting going. Uh, just wanting to kick things off with talking about how to get clients. It's a question everybody always asks. And so I just want to be able to pop in here and uh, be able to answer questions, not ask questions. Going to answer as many questions as I possibly can and cover the number one topic: how do I get clients? And so we've got to go into a few preliminaries. Like, I could just lie to you and say, if you don't have any experience, you can just go out and people will give you money. It's really hard to do. It is possible. There are exceptions to the rule. People who have done very well at this, at going into an advertising or marketing agency, a social media marketing agency, and turn that into a very successful company. Usually they have some form of other business acumen if they don't necessarily have domain knowledge in advertising or marketing. Um, so so the main thing is go get an education. That doesn't mean go to school like I didn't. I started studying. I got a degree in something completely different, but then I actually put a bunch of effort into learning how to do copywriting. I already knew how to build websites, so then I just took all this direct response stuff. We're talking 2 decades ago. Direct response stuff that I was studying every night for hours and practicing copywriting and doing all the those sides of the education I needed. I did not know how to get clients. I did not know how to do marketing. I knew how to build stuff, but I didn't know how to do marketing. I didn't know how to do advertising. So I studied those fields. One of the first things I did was look up the Harvard MBA reading list. So that was the first thing I did. Is I looked up the reading list and I just got as many of those books as I possibly could from my local library, and I just started reading them so that I'd have a solid business education, because I knew I'm probably never going to go to Harvard. So I figured I would just learn what was being taught at Harvard and put that to use. But then I also started studying, well, what are all the other successful marketers doing out there? Like the successful ones, not the ones who are simply doing a little bit of work and then they go off and they sell a bunch of courses, but actually people who are running successful agencies. What were they doing? And I became friends with people in the agency world and started asking them questions and studying what they did, kind of shadowed them to learn how they did what they did. And that allowed me to comprehend how they got clients. So I was building up the skill set, my expertise, to be able to sell that expertise, but then also watching how these experts sold their expertise. And as I learned more about how they did that, it became easier for me to get clients. And this is in the early days of the internet, when it was actually pretty hard to get clients from the internet. There's a lot of still face-to-face kind of thing, and that made it extremely challenging and time-consuming to build up a solid base. But now we have the ability to get clients anywhere. So the things that we're going to talk about on here, and hopefully answer as many questions as possible. And so I'm going to pause here, pop into my phone and start answering, seeing what kind of questions are coming up and saying hi to everybody. Michael, good morning. Good morning. Raven, good morning. Taha, good afternoon. Christopher, hola, hola, ¿cómo estás? All right. Tim rocks. Hello, everyone from Tallenberg. No, Tallenberg, you rock. All right. So thanks for coming on, and hopefully you got questions about how to get clients. And so let me do like 5 minutes on the 4 areas that you really have to focus on when you're getting started, or hell, just being in business. You just need to keep these 4 running. And that's the first thing you got to do, is find your clients. I know, not very clever, Tim, right? But you got to find them. Where do they go? Where do they congregate in large numbers, or at least large enough numbers for you? Well, LinkedIn's a great place. You can go to LinkedIn and start aggregating all the people that would be in your target market. LinkedIn, Facebook groups. With Contractor Dynamics, we're doing a great job just going in and answering questions in a bunch of different forums, groups on, but basically they act just like a forum. But on Facebook groups, we go into groups with thousands and thousands of our target market. They're just sitting there and they show up every day and they spend like 30 minutes a day or more on Facebook. And so we just go in there and answer questions. And that has led to people coming back to the site and joining, becoming a lead. And then eventually a few of them end up becoming clients. Probably that strategy alone so far this year, I think it's made us about about $300,000, I think. So just that one strategy of just going in and answering questions in Facebook groups. I know it's crazy, but it's the fact that you're finding your target market and they're just aggregated. They're in a small space. Back in the old direct response days, what we would do is buy a list of that somebody has already aggregated our target market for us. And it was expensive. You bought the list, that was expensive. Then you had to mail to those people. That was expensive. The whole process was crazy expensive. Well, now you can just go do a search on Facebook, find a dozen groups and participate in them, and people will become your client. That's insane, right? So the first lesson of getting clients is find them in groups, find them in clusters. So don't go find them onesie twosie. That's old school networking. Like that's face to face. Show up at some business meeting and network and hand out business cards. That's what going after small numbers does for you. Go where they're aggregated. The next thing is to attract them. People are trying to overcomplicate this. Attraction, you've heard of lead magnets. They've been around forever. Back when I got started, we called them white papers, and we did white paper marketing. So we would create a white paper that was on a topic that our target market really desired, and we did an ad where they saw like, hey, get this white paper. And so then they would order the white paper, get it for free, but they'd have to order it. And so we'd get all their details. And then we would just start contacting them and start sending them direct mail, because now we knew that they were interested in solving a problem that our company solved. So that's what you have to do. Just make a lead magnet. It could be a webinar. It could be a training video. We're testing right now in Contractor Dynamics a 10-minute training video, which we're going to see how well that works out. But we're testing a 10-minute training video. We've tested webinars. We've tested PDFs, like download this PDF. That's it. Like keep the attraction simple. You only need one good one. Okay. Then the next thing is your conversion process. Most of you go for the sale immediately. And in advertising and marketing, that only really works at the low end of the market. And if you're at the low end of the market, okay, go for that sale immediately. And when I say low end, we're talking like $3,000 a month with no annual contract or anything like that. So you're essentially selling that one $3,000 package. So anything that's relatively low in price, less than a 5-figure pitch, is going to, you can go right into a close. But everyone else, that conversion process is business development. You need to actually spend time talking to them, get multiple meetings scheduled with them. Going for the sale immediately at the higher end of the market seldom works. Most of the time, they just go, no, that's not for us. You just the only time a quick close happens at the higher end of the market is simply when kismet happens, like fate. You show up, they show up, and you can solve their problem, at the exact same time they've got that need and they love who you are. They already know who you are and they love you and they're like, yes, let's just do this thing, right? It's rare. You can't build a scalable business on that idea. Then the fourth thing you have to do is get referrals. I know most of you don't ask for referrals. So one of the things when I took a sales training program a couple of sales training programs at the beginning of my career. And one of the things they forced us to do was ask for referrals. So if we were talking to a prospect and the prospect said no, we asked for referrals. Well, so Mr. Conley, I understand that this isn't for you, but do you know somebody that this could be good for? And do you have 5 names? And then you would get them and help them jog their memory to get 5 referrals, even after they said no. If they bought, you asked for 5 or more referrals. After you closed them, everything was over, they got their product or their service, you asked for referrals again. The times that we had to ask for referrals were right at the beginning, before they were ever a customer, right after they became a customer, right after they were done, and then a 4th time later in the future when you're just doing follow-up to see if there's more things that you could sell to them. And then you started this process all over again. You need to have that kind of referral system built into your business. That's it. That's how you get clients. All right. So now let's go into the questions. Let's see what's going on. All right. Let's see. Out for Presidents. Hello, Tim. I'm a big fan of your channel. Can't wait to see what you have to teach. Well, I just taught it, but we're going to do some Q&A, so hopefully you'll learn a few more things. Let's see. Dwight, you are starting out. Should you push to charge accordingly? 2,000 or more a customer when only small businesses will give you the time of day. The only reason small businesses are giving you the time of day is that's probably the only people you're talking to. Like I said, with large companies, it's business development. You actually have to put in some time and effort. I've had clients that I didn't get for well over a year after first meeting with them. And first just kind of talking like, oh, what do you do? All I do this. Oh, great. We have that kind of need. And then it took over a year before they ever became a client. There's cases, I've had clients of my own and friends that it took 2-3 years before ever closing a large account. So is it worth putting in that kind of effort? Well, yeah, because if you're going to close a $1 million or $5 million account, then 3 years is not a big investment. Slow, you got to have some patience, but that's the thing. If you're wanting a close today, you have to go after the small people. But if you want to get in with larger companies, well, you've got to play the game. You've got to start to get to know people. You've got to put in the effort. And it's not easy. It's not simply, oh, hey, I do this thing. You got that need. Why don't you just hire me? It doesn't work that way with larger companies. So you have to go in and do the work. Start identifying the right people to speak to. Hopefully the CEO, hopefully someone near the top. But if not, you start grooming champions that are in the middle. You find the middle managers and you start grooming them, start getting to know them so that they become your champion and introduce you to the top of the food chain so that you can get your meeting, your first real meeting with decision makers. And then from there, you can eventually get them as a client. And here's the thing, if you go back to that referral idea that I mentioned earlier, even if they don't become a client, you've built up really good rapport, there's a good chance they'll refer you to another large company, and that large company will probably do business because you came as a referral, even though you didn't do business, you hadn't done business yet with the one who did the referring. That's how it works. All right, let's see, jump down. My biz is Tullenberg. My biz is Facebook advertising, custom WordPress design. What my plan was to create a video on how to set up retargeting in Facebook and custom audiences. So I was going to do a Facebook ad saying I can teach you how to. That might work. Don't know. But typically typically what works great for a lead magnet is why and what. How, not so much. At least on the higher end. If you're talking to newbies, like if you're selling to newbies, then do a how-to like that. My friend Miles Beckler, a lot of his videos are like, here's how I do this thing, and I'll show you my screen and all that stuff, and here's how I do this in Facebook. And that's great because he is targeting newbies. He is after the people who are wanting to change their lives. And so that kind of content's great for that type of customer. But if you're wanting somebody who just wants you to do it for them, well, the how-to is not much of a good lead magnet. What is a good lead magnet is why you need to be doing it and what you should be doing. So it's like, so let's say we'll just come up with hair salons. I need a long hair, right? I'll never go, right? Obviously. So hair salon. If you are at a targeting hair salons and you're like, oh, I'll show you how to do this stuff in Facebook and do this retargeting thing. But what you should be doing is saying, hey, you're still putting ads in the local paper, or you're still doing this thing. Here's what you should be doing. If you do this with your website, and by now you probably have a WordPress website, and if you don't, this is what you would be doing. You'd have this WordPress website, and you'd do this thing with Facebook. You put these two things together, and it will drive a whole bunch of sign-ups. Like a whole bunch of new customers will come in and want to get their haircut, except for Tim. He's probably not going to get his haircut. So that's the way you would go about that kind of lead magnet. If you're targeting people that you want to do the service for, great. If you're targeting people that are just getting started, they're newbies, and you're going to sell them more education, then go with the how-to. All right. Get a low cost per click. Just give me your email and get the tutorial video. Good idea. Waste of time. Okay, so I just answered all that. I guess I should have read the whole thing. Let's see. Sid. Tim, you the man. No, Sid. Thanks for showing up. All right. Mahmood. Actually, I don't know how to pronounce that. Maybe it's that. I'm terrible with names. Terrible with American names. Let alone anyone else's from around the world. I'm starting a blog on digital marketing and related subjects to everything digital. What do I need to jump to next? Make content. If your business is a blog, well, then the only thing you can do is make great content. That's what you do. I would go and look at the people who have done the best at digital marketing content. Neil Patel, even though he doesn't write pretty much any of the content on there, it's all writers, but they do an amazing job. Like the content is top notch. So that's what you would do. You'd want to go out and see what the best in the market's doing, and then you create it. Focus. If you're blogging, well, then you also need to focus on a niche, at least to get started, because the odds of you cutting through and becoming one of the best blogs about digital marketing, it's going to be really hard. You have to have a really, really interesting point of view. You'll have to come in with something that just captivates people's attention outside of the content itself. Basically building a very captivating brand. All right. Taha, in a country such as Morocco, where the digital transition is just taking on, what would be the alternative to Facebook groups? Also, do you think it's feasible to have clients in a foreign country while being based in Morocco? All right. So I don't know the digital landscape in Morocco. But if you have access to the internet, and obviously you do because you just asked a question here, Taha. That means you could get clients anywhere in the world. We live in a global economy. So I have a contractor edits all my videos, and he's in Uruguay. He's from Venezuela. So he's from Venezuela, living in Uruguay. and he does business with me. He gets paid about the same amount that I would pay someone locally to edit my videos. So it's not a real cost savings. He just does a really good job. So he gets the job. That's how it works. So you could do business anywhere. I've got a lot of friends who left Western countries and moved to Eastern countries just because, cost of living, but also because they just like it there. It's like there's some really nice beaches in Thailand and Indonesia. So they go to those countries and they still do business back in America or back in Europe. So you shouldn't limit yourself just to your country, no matter where you live, but shouldn't limit to your own country unless there's a very good reason for it. I had gotten a question from someone who was in Saudi Arabia, and it's like, oh, you speak Arabic, then one of the things I would be doing is just focusing on the Middle East. Middle East is booming when it comes to digital marketing. It's taking off. I wouldn't even, because the question was like, should I work with Europe and should I work with America? It's like, you're in a booming economy. Go there. Like, start there. You haven't even tapped into that. So if there's a good reason for you to stay local, stay local. If not, you've got the whole world accessible with this thing right here. All right. So the next one. Thomas, best way to give value through content marketing with blogging to build a list of prospects. I'm a writer at heart, hate being on camera. It goes back to earlier when I mentioned about the whole blogging thing, is you need a incredibly unique point of view to stand out. So you're going to have to find some way that you're going to stand out against everyone else. Then the other is, if this is going to be your main way of getting prospects, so you're going to have to get good at SEO, but you're also going to have content that people return for. Neil Patel does an amazing job. There is an email newsletter that people pay for. It's called Stratechery or something, or Stratechery or something. I don't know exactly how it's pronounced, but it's like a combination of strategy and something else, right? So that's content that's so good, people pay for it. So they have some free stuff that they put out, but then people pay to access that content because it's so good. Like, who would be a great lead for you? Well, probably people who are paying for your content because they think it's so good. There was a company called Marketing Sherpa back in the day, in the early 2000s. It ended up selling to someone else. But back in the early days, it was really unique. People paid for that content. They had a lot of free content, but they had paid content that was just amazing. So that's what I would be focusing on, is like, am I writing something that somebody would pay me money for? If so, then yes, let's keep doing that, right? How do I find clients to hire me as a digital marketing consultant when I have no actual experience, but I'm certified by Digital Marketer, all 11 of their training certifications? Okay, so you got an education. Great. Phase one. That's like when I started this video. Very first thing I said was, if you don't have any experience, you don't have any knowledge, well, the first thing you got to do is get knowledge. You need something to work off of. So you've already done that. You're not going into the world with zero. And so you have an education, you understand the concepts. Now it's time to take those concepts and smack them up against the real world. So one of the first things I would do, Michael, that's who's asking this. So Michael, the first thing I would do is use my own self as a case study. I'd make a website for myself. I would start doing content for myself. It was Digital Marketer who came up with the funnel, content funnel of like awareness and something else. And I can't even remember the funnel, but there's a 4-part funnel where people are just aware, then they're evaluating, and then they're doing something else like buying, and then it's like after they buy. So that's what I would do. I just take the things that I've learned and start implementing them for myself and just reteaching what you've learned. That's the first thing I would do, is just reteach. Don't credit yourself like, hey, I invented this concept. No, you'd say, here's what I know. I've learned this thing. And I would start using myself as my very first case study. So what, and so that's like step one, but it's not like do that and then sometime in the future go after clients. Do that while you're going after clients. So then when you would approach somebody and they say, well, what's your experience? And you say, well, I got this education. So it's like, I'm just starting out. I'm willing to go the extra mile because I'm just starting out. And it's like, I understand you're afraid of taking a risk on me, but here's what I can do. You pay me like whatever the amount is, say $1,000, and I'll do this thing for you. And I'll keep that $1,000. I won't spend it. I'll keep it sitting there. And so if it doesn't work out, if the things that I do for you don't work, I'll give you that money back. That's one of the ways that you can alleviate the risk for those very first clients. And what I did a video on like free work, a case study video, how to use a case study discount to be able to get those first few clients. So what you would do is go up to them, say, okay, I can do it for $1,000. Normally I would have to charge you, let's say $5,000 for this. But if you are a case study of mine, I do all this work for you, create all this stuff, we get great results. You allow me to use your image, your name, and in a case study showing what I did. I'll keep anything that needs to be private, but I'll show like what I did and the results I got for you as a case study. And it'll only cost you $1,000. Like that's what I would do. Those are the first few steps. All right. Ian, hello, I'm in Spain, 50 years old, doing PPC for 5 years, but I have only found small businesses and they don't pay more than $400 per month because they find young kids doing it cheaper. That means, Ian, they do not see you as an expert, right? That's it. Like if I go to a general physician and it's like, I'm just going to pay whatever my copay is and all that stuff. But if I have a serious health issue, they send me off to a specialist and I pay far more money to that specialist. I don't go, hey, I want to pay you what the general physician charges. It's like, no, I'm going to pay the higher amount because you're an expert. There's fewer of you that can do the thing that I need done. That's it's the law of supply and demand. So if they'll go after someone cheaper, that means they don't believe you're as valuable. So the first thing you've got to do is figure out, how do I build up my own authority? I have expertise. I got 5 years of expertise, but now I need to build up my authority so that when I speak, they listen. And then they say, I need to work with you because you're the authority, not those kids. Like they may have expertise, those kids that are charging $400, or just in a global economy where somebody in Morocco could charge $400 a month and live very well because they can get a whole bunch of clients at $400 a month and live on a less expensive economy than, say, if you're living in Barcelona and living downtown and paying the rents that you're going to pay there. So that cost of living, someone else in the rest of the world. So you're competing against that. So you can't say, oh, it's the kids, it's the global economy. It's the lack of authority. People don't believe you're worth more money. So you need to be able to prove to people that when you sit down and do PPC, it generates significant results. And then you're able to start getting more money. But then the other part is you're probably targeting the low end of the market. Stop that. You've been in business 5 years. Stop targeting the low end of the market. Go after bigger companies that expect you to do more and expect really good results. And when they spend $5,000 a month, it's not their last $5,000. The low end of the market, $400 might be the difference between making payroll and not making payroll that week. So don't stop that. Like that's the other part. A lot of times people are good experts, probably a decent enough authority, but their own personal self-worth has them going after the low end of the market as opposed to the higher end of the market where the price flexibility is much higher. That might be the sole solution, is to stop going after small ones and start going after big ones. All right. John, when positioning yourself with authority, what would you recommend? Paid ads or organic content creation? One seems like a long-term strategy, and paid seems like it might be a shortcut. Yes, both. It's not one or the other. Like that's the thing about getting clients. Everybody wants like the one thing, the shortcut, the thing that's going to get them the thing faster and easier, and like the easy button. I just push this one button and everything works out perfectly. Well, if that was the case, then everybody would be billionaires. And it's not. It's hard. Like so the answer to should I do networking events? Should I do webinars? Should I do paid content? Should I do organic content? Should I do speaking engagements? The answer is yes to all of them. Prioritization comes into play because you only have so much time. You only have so many resources to deploy. So you have to start prioritizing. So you look at things like reach and conversion. So when you start looking at marketing channels, let's say you're going to do guest posting. Well, where should you guest post? On a tiny blog or on a bigger blog? Well, the bigger blog's got more reach. Well, but do they have engagement? So they have reach and engagement. If they have both of those, then you go after that one first because it's going to give you the biggest return on your investment. If you find like a small blog that has really high engagement and you go, and it might be worth doing some guest posting there because that could be leveraged to get you onto the big one with high engagement. But you don't want to get into something that's big but has low engagement because no one's going to pay any attention to you. So it's not even worth your effort. Just because it has massive reach doesn't mean it has massive engagement. Then the other would be as you're building out your channels, where do I go? Okay, content marketing strategy, paid. That gets it faster. So I would do lead magnets, pay money to get people to your lead magnet. For your regular content, maybe you want to advertise it. Maybe you want to create an ad and send people back to a blog post that you think is just fantastic. And then it has some sort of conversion mechanism built into it. Pat Flynn of Smart Passive Income, he was a master. I don't know if he still is, but a long time ago, he was a master of writing a great blog post and then just putting links to affiliate links inside of that. So he made a ton of money. So the thing he needed to do is just get a lot of traffic to that blog post because it made a lot of money because people would buy the affiliate stuff that he talked about. So if you have got really good conversions, well then and it's a good blog post, well then yeah, drive traffic to a blog post. And you'll also get SEO out of it too, because you do your SEO stuff that's going to take a long time. Right. So I just did this with a client of mine. He had quite a few of his blog posts that rank really well, generate most of the traffic for his agency. And so I said, well, okay, let's build conversion mechanisms, unique conversion mechanisms into each one of those articles that gets most of your traffic. And then let's drive some traffic to it. Let's go out and pay for ads and send people to this one post and see what happens. And it increased his leads. There you go. All right. Okay, so Ian, not sure what to do because I need more income quickly. So, I talked about building authority. Go talk to people. Like that's the one thing, is do sales. If you need money quickly, well, then you need to go talk to people today. Like, don't waste any time. Go speak to people. Get face to face. The fastest way to sell, even today, is face to face. But then I would not just do that. I would find time to do a webinar and you do PPC. So drive traffic, paid traffic to that webinar and start generating leads that way. That's what I would do right now. All right. Let's see. Man, I'm thirsty, talking too much. Let's see, coming down. Raven, how do you ask for referral if the client is in a highly competitive field? Is it a must to ask for referrals from other geographic locations? No. The only thing is, like, let that person decide, because they may actually send you to one of their competitors. They were like, man, you do great work. I'm also friends with a competitor. That question comes from scarcity. It's a belief that there's a limit to life, and the only limit to life is death. Right? That's it. Outside of that, there's no limits. You have no limits. Don't be afraid to ask. Well, what if they do send you to a competitor? Well, then that was their choice. If they send you to a non-competitor, doesn't matter. Like, it's like, just ask for the referral. Like, don't put a barrier. Don't put this made up barrier in front of that. You ask, they tell. And if they're not comfortable giving you a referral, well, then they won't give you a referral. That's it. So don't worry about competition. We live in an infinite world. So the only kind of competition that still exists is if you're dealing with local to local, right? So with Contractor Dynamics, we do a lot of work with roofers, like a crazy amount of roofers. But in Dallas-Fort Worth, there's, like, I don't even know how many roofers. There's a ton of them. And so we actually have multiple clients in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Are they direct competitors? Well, yeah, they are in some respect, but the market's huge, and we're just getting our clients to be better than all the people who are not our clients. That's it. Like, and they don't care. Like, as long as they don't feel like they're going to lose, then they go, hey, you need to go talk to my friend and do this. And that's the thing where we live today in this world, is that back in the 1980s or something, pre-internet, anything before the internet in the early 90s, people were really, really worried about competition. But today it's like, a lot of people are friends with their competitors, like actual friends, go out, have beers, even go on vacations together. So I drop the scarcity thinking. I hope I like that. This everything I was just saying, simplify it, shorten it, just drop the scarcity thinking. Okay, Kurt, any tips for getting the attention of bigger clients who tend to work with larger agencies when you're still basically functioning as a solo entrepreneur? Go work for those agencies. That's your in, and try, and don't be a remote worker. Get to know them. So I worked with a company in Southern Illinois ages ago, and they had a good relationship with a company in an agency in St. Louis. And so then the logical thing was, go spend more time in St. Louis. That's the thing you need to do, because there's other agencies in St. Louis. So you're in with this one, leverage that to go work with some of the other agencies. And then you get yourself into client meetings. So I took that idea with them, and we went up and pitched an electronics manufacturer that was in St. Louis. We went there. This is the early days of MP3 players, long before the iPod existed. Little MP3 players, and we went there and pitched them with another agency, and we got to sit in on client meetings. So the clients got to know our agency, or I'm saying I was consulting with an agency. There's like lots of agencies involved in this, right? So we're all sitting there. That's the thing you do, is go to those bigger agencies and be of value to them. that'll get you in there, and do your best to sit in on any client calls that you can be on. Sit in those meetings. Don't go, oh man, it's another freaking meeting. Like nothing's going to get done. No, sit in on those meetings because they get to know who you are. Say something smart on those calls. Show up to the physical meetings and say something smart. That will get you noticed, because then eventually it probably won't be that client, because you don't want to steal you don't want to bite them the hand that feeds you, right? So you don't want to steal a client from that agency, but that company will then be able to give you a referral to another company. That company you'll be able to put on your website, and they may have a great brand name that you could stick on your website, and that logo might get you your own clients, bigger clients, or at least get you meetings with those bigger clients. Boom, that's it. All right. Vertica, what do you think about inbound marketing agency? How we should leverage our partnership with HubSpot? We are already their gold partner from India. Well, that's something that you probably should have figured out. And so I don't want to, this is going to sound rude, and it's because I'm kind of tactless. You should have figured that out before becoming a partner. Like that's like, you don't want to just go out and get certifications and partnerships and get somebody's logo on there. You went out and you got HubSpot's logo onto your site. Like, why? Like, why are you doing that? So that would be the one of the main things to figure out is, well, why did I choose this? What does HubSpot bring into my company that I couldn't just do on my own without HubSpot? So maybe you thought, well, if we were a gold partner with HubSpot, we would get referrals, we would get all this business from HubSpot. Well, you're competing against a million other people who are also doing their HubSpot certification. It's like, oh, we're a HubSpot partner, we're Google certified. Like, these things they're just small credibility indicators. Like, I'm Google certified, I'm HubSpot certified, I'm this certified. They're just little tiny credibility indicators. I have no certifications anymore. Well, none that I've kept up. Like, I had certifications a long time ago. I just never kept them up because they never mattered. So you need to figure out, well, why am I even with HubSpot? Why do I need to be here? And then that answer, the answer to why, that's what you're going to actually leverage. If you don't know why you're even a partner, you can't leverage that partnership. I know that wasn't an answer, but like, you got to figure that part out before anything else. I could say a bunch of other stuff, but it won't matter if you don't know why. If you don't know why you're doing it, it won't matter. Let's see. Okay, so Taha is asking, like, do you think we should focus on a niche or keeping it large? I'm always about industry, like industry or specialty, or a specialty in an industry. Like, I'm not keen on niches. Like, a niche is a good place to like get your start. It's a good place to like get a little bit of traction, but you shouldn't stay there. You should get out of that as fast as you possibly can and get into an industry or a specialty. So if you don't have a lot of competition locally, then what you should be spending your time doing is just go out and get as many clients as you possibly can, and just go after all the people that could potentially be a client. Like, just do that. And if it doesn't pan out, if you find that you're having a hard time getting traction, then you can go back and niche down. Or you may find that by doing a bunch of stuff, you find, oh, I really like doing this one kind of work. And that work is used the most in this one particular industry. And then all of a sudden, that becomes your focus. That happens to a lot of people, where you start doing a bunch of different things and then find the one thing that you really enjoy, and then that becomes your career, and off you go. And we don't know what we don't know what that is. We don't know how that's going to happen. So we just go out and experiment. Okay. Let's see. Tollenberg, any suggestions for a lead magnet for website design, forward, custom WordPress sites, creating websites based on lead generation for clients and websites that in general look great and convert? Yeah, that's the lead magnet. There you go. It's like Tollenberg, and I don't like, again, I'm tactless. Don't ask for permission. Like, that's a good idea. Like, what you just wrote as a question to me is actually the thing you should be doing. So that means you knew you should be doing stuff. Then do that. Just put it together, put it out there. The only person who can actually, it's not just a person, it's persons can answer these questions about marketing is the market. Like, marketing doesn't mean anything unless you get it in front of your target customer. That's it. Get that idea in front of your target market, and see what happens. Will it work? Don't know. Did that idea work for someone else? Yes, it did. Will it work for you? No idea. The market will tell you. And if it doesn't work, you do a different idea. And if that one doesn't work, you do another idea. And if that one doesn't work, you do another. The idea that, because you can't say, oh, lead magnets don't work, like because they do, and they've worked even before the internet existed. Like I said, when we called them white papers and put ads in trade journals and newspapers, right? It existed way back then. So all these years, they still work. So it's not the mechanism, it's the message to market match. Do I have the right message to the right market? And if I get those two things lined up, I'm going to get a ton of leads. That's it. And how do we know if we got the right message? Well, we start hitting the market with our message. And then if that message doesn't resonate, we hit them with a different message, or we try a different market with that message until we find message to market match. Done. Thomas, is there a best practice for engaging with Facebook, LinkedIn groups without being marked as spam? Don't spam. Like, you know what spam is. You've seen spam. You go, man, I can't believe that person commented that inside this thing. Like, go buy my stuff. Go to my thing. Go, like, you know what it looks like. Just don't do that. Be useful. Be valuable. Give value, and that value will get returned. Will it get returned directly? Not always, but it will get returned. I don't know. I'm not a spiritual person, but karma works. Like, you put value into the world, you get value back. So just don't spam. Like, you know what it looks like, so don't do that. Like, don't do that. Okay. Let's see. All right, Ian's like, thanks, and gonna go do these things on LinkedIn. It's like, all right, good. Show those case studies, build up your authority, and then and on LinkedIn specifically, start connecting with people. Start connecting with your target market, and that's a good chance that they'll want to have a meeting with you, get on a phone call with you. Yeah, Michael, the only limits we have are the ones we place on ourselves. That's it. Like, what you look out in the world and you perceive is what you get. Gina, also, I was referring to audience segmentation and psychographics. They tend to want to target everyone. Gina, I scrolled right over Gina. Thank you for this live chat. I'm just starting in marketing. I keep running into the problem of having to convince my clients that certain marketing best practices work, like niching down. Also, I was referring to audience segmentation and psychographics. They tend to want to target everyone. Don't convince people. That's the answer. If you're talking to people and you're trying to convince them, well, then you're not going to get them as a client. And if you do get them as a client, they're going to be a terrible client. Don't convince people. if somebody needs convincing, you put them into a funnel, you educate them, you get them content, you don't do sales. Because if you do sales and you actually convince them to buy, they end up being terrible clients. So don't do that. Sell to the people who don't need convincing. Find people who understand that, I'm going to listen to you because you're an authority. I understand this concept that you're saying, niche down. Let's target a specific group of people. Let's target people who are after what you're after. So you're like psychographics. You're using this term. So you got some education about psychographics, yet you're trying to convince people who don't fit the psychographic of the thing that you're trying to sell. So like, don't convince. All right. Greetings from Russia. Dude, I am not even about to try to pronounce your name because I can't read Cyrillic. Is it Russian? Is that is the alphabet a Cyrillic alphabet? I can't remember. Michael, for web design lead magnet, create a video on how to make a website and split it up into 5-part mini course. Might work again at the newbie level, but the using a website, like, why do you even need a website? Like, the internet's been around now for a long time. It's been graphical since 1994 with the invention of Mosaic. It became graphical. And then we started having web pages and then websites and all that stuff. So it's been around for a very long time. The idea of needing a website, very long time, 2 decades, more than 2 decades, right? So it's been around for a very long time. That means that you shouldn't be doing stuff about how to make a website if you're after people who you want to build websites for. For businesses, you want to just teach them why they need a website and what they're going to do with it. And that would be getting customers. We're going to get you customers. We're going to get you leads. We're going to get the thing that you're after. That's what it's going to do. The how, you can show them how if you like, but it's not what they really want. Newbies want that stuff, but businesses tend to want the why and the what. Okay. John here, how early in an agency would you suggest to find white label fulfillment or build commission-based team? Where would you suggest a good place to find initial freelancers? I use Upwork a lot. So anytime I need just a freelancer and it's going to be short term, I go to Upwork. Sometimes I get lucky and find somebody who's actually long-term compatible. Somebody who, if I work with them and it looks like they're going to do great work, I'll keep them on for years. The ones that I've lost that I've kept for years is that they just stopped using Upwork or they switched directions. That's all. But that's only been a handful that I've ever found like that. But this question is, you must not have watched like other videos of mine. I don't really recommend white labeling. It's a temporary solution at best. White labeling is a stopgap. It's like, I need somebody to do fulfillment for me because I'm trying to grow, and then as soon as I get past that, I need to take control of my product so that I can improve the quality. Because you go to a white label, you get whatever they give you. That's it. Like, there's no, hey, your processes suck or your results are lame. And they just say, that's it. Like, this is what we give you, because they charge a certain amount of money and they can't put any more effort into your account unless you become their #1 account. You become so big that you dominate their business, and then you get to tell them what to do. Like, that's the only way white labeling ends up ever making sense, is that you get so big that you get to tell them what you want done and they'll do it because they don't want to lose your account. But when you're small and you're just getting started, it's a stopgap at best. I would rather try to find really good experts that I could contract to on a per project basis, and then try to hire them. like, or keep them as a contractor, but give them so much work that they don't work for anyone else. They're just so busy working for you that they don't end up working for anyone else. And then part of that is if you really want to find those kind of experts outside of Upwork and sites like it, is to network with people that you would potentially want to hire. Like if you're building a marketing agency, well, you need to network with really good marketing agencies, not like these fly-by-nights, but actual really good ones, like ones that actually have a real business. You need to network with them and connect with them on LinkedIn and things like that, so that you have a network of people that when you need to hire, you can go, hey, I'm looking for somebody who does this. And you'll have a big enough network that someone will go, yeah, I'm in the market for that. And I like what you're doing. So yeah, I think it'd be a good match. Okay. David, a big fan of your channel. David, I'm a big fan. Thanks for showing up. I like that. I like that a lot. What advice would you give a solopreneur who's starting a digital marketing as a side hustle? I just got my first paying client who sells vacation packages. Any tips? Wow, any tips? Don't eat lead. Like, that's such a broad question. I don't. I like tips and tricks is like it's such a broad question that I could just say something and try to be clever. It wouldn't be useful. Got a specific question? I can try to answer that. Let's see. Let's see, Ian, back to Ian. Is there a database of US businesses that have more than X million of revenue so I can reach out to bigger businesses only? Pre-qualify them before? Yes. So there's Info USA. There is Dun & Bradstreet. There is, oh gosh, what's the other one? Other big one. I can't think of it off the top of my head. But there is another one, and they keep track of companies and data on those companies. One great list that's free, comes out every year, is the Inc. 5000. Like, go onto the Inc. 5000. So Inc. 5000. So if you're specializing in a particular industry, you'll find that industry in the Inc. 5000, and there'll be maybe 20 or something that fit what you're after. And then what you do is you try to find their competitors. Spyfoo.com, I haven't used it in ages, but a long time ago, you used to be able to go in and see what a company is doing, what kind of ads they're doing and stuff like that. But then you could also find their competitors who are doing other stuff similar to that. And then you could just start building that list. It's like, well, they're similar to each other. I can just start building up my own list like that. But the fastest thing you can do is just like pay for a list. And then you take that list, go back over to LinkedIn and use Sales Navigator and actually start crafting connections with those people, right? That's probably the most practical thing I've said in this entire talk. All right. Okay. Well, I've been at this for almost an hour. Got like 2 more minutes, so let's. And I was actually going to do my best to like do 40 minutes on this one, but I always go over an hour. So one last question. Anyone want to hit me with it? I will answer this one last question. All right. So Dave's like, sorry for being vague. They're looking to generate leads and have no branding built up. They're not looking to invest more than $1,000 on a weekly ad spend. They do, however, have a list of 100,000 contacts. So what were they again? Scroll back up, see what David said they were. Sells vacation packages. Very first thing to do that I've done with all businesses that have been in business for a while is a customer reactivation campaign. So they got a list of 100,000 people. First thing, I wouldn't spend any money on anything. First thing I would do is reactivate old customers. I would just go back and like let's take the oldest people on this list, like the ones who joined this list a long time ago, your oldest customers, the ones who haven't bought for a while. Those are the first people I'd go off and I'd be like, hey, we got this super special deal just for you. Like it's called a "We Miss You" campaign. So we miss you. You haven't been here for a long time. We want to make sure you go on a super happy vacation. So let's get you out there, and we got this super special deal for you. And reactivate customers. That's the first thing I would do. Make use of that 100,000 list. I would put all my effort into that 100,000 list. So I wouldn't even be bothered with ad spend. See, one of the things about a lot of people at the lower end of things is like, I've got a hammer. So no matter who comes to me, I'm going to nail in something. But it doesn't matter what their problem is. Like they may need a board cut. And you're like, well, I got a hammer. I can smack that board with my hammer. But they're like, no, I need it cut. So part of what you've got to learn to do in marketing is just get the right clients, and then that way you only need to hammer nails. Like you get the right clients, you just hammer nails. And if somebody comes in like, I need you to cut a board, and you go, sorry, we only hammer nails here. So that's one part of it. Or you get into consultation. You start consulting with them and find out, well, how can I make you money beyond just the thing that is my main specialty? Maybe the thing I need to sell you is, and maybe the thing I need to do is like, let's just do some email marketing for a while. Let's just figure that part out, because you got this big list. Let's make some money from it. And then we'll worry about making that list bigger. And, we'll take some of the profits from that and we'll go out and make that list bigger, and so forth. Like that's where I'd start. Okay. Ooh, let's see. Like now, like I said, I was going to answer only one last one. Michael, let's see. I'm trying to decide because Vertica asked a really tough question. So I'm like, oh man, I should just probably skip that one because that one's really hard. Let's see, Michael, how should I charge as a digital marketing strategist, consultant, and what exactly would the deliverable be? What would you do? That one I'll answer because it's a lot easier. I might still come back and answer that, but I'm going to do my best to wrap this up. Oh, okay. So strategy. Part of the that question is that asking, well, what would I do, means you probably shouldn't do it, or at least you need to start practicing with it for free, because you don't understand your clients well enough to be able to consult with them. You don't you don't understand the problems that you solve really well to be able to ask great questions of your clients, or something like asking like, well, what would I even do? Well, you have thoughts about about success and how to achieve success, or you wouldn't be selling your services. So there's a lot that goes into doing your services really well that you're probably doing for free right now. You're probably just including all that thinking, and it's for free. The first thing I'd want to do is just diagnose. I want to figure out, well, what's going on? Like the question earlier about like, what should they only want to spend like 1,000, but they've got this big list. Well, one of the first things I'd want to do is do some a deep dive on the business to find out where could we make the most money the fastest. Typically it's customer reactivation, so I'd go do that. But the thing is you need to understand business well enough that you can ask questions and find out areas that you could serve. And then you go, oh, well, here's the things that need to be addressed, and that becomes the deliverable. And then and you can make it into a plan, like we'll do this thing, and then we'll do this thing, and we'll do this other thing. And typically that's what people do without getting paid. They call it a proposal. So I sell a plan, and that plan is typically what other people sell as a proposal. So it'd be like, here are the things that we should do. And because I dove into your business, I understand your problems, I understand your objectives, I understand the vision of your company. So here's what I would suggest. And some of the things that might be on that thing that I suggest aren't even in my specialty. And I'll say, I'll find, it's like I know an expert who can do that thing, or I will find that person for you. You can either hire them directly, or I can hire them and manage them myself. And that's how we'll solve things that I don't know how to do. And then ultimately, the thing that I'm really good at will be usually one of the suggestions on that proposal plan that I've been paid to produce. So that would be the place to start. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So now back to, Vertica, I'm pretty sure not pronouncing your name correctly. Sorry about that, but I can barely pronounce my own name, and I've only got 3 letters. I have another question. When an agency goes for a partnership with a white label agency, how do you think it should be managed with the clients? Does that create a gap in the client relationship? Okay, so I'm assuming you're the white label agency. I think you asked a question on a video a while back and said that you white labeled for other people. How do you manage the end client? I would, as a white label, you need to focus on the deliverable. But to have a great deliverable, you need to be speaking with the client closely. You can do it as a team. Like they have their client, their account rep, their account manager, and your account manager or project manager. Both of those 2 people can show up on a client call, so that here in the States, it's called, I don't know what it's called around the rest of the world, but it's called a game of telephone, where you whisper something into one person's ear and then they whisper it to someone else and so forth. And by the time it comes around the circle and gets back to you, it's nothing like what you originally said. That's what happens in client management. So if you've got too many people between you and the end client, asking questions and doing feedback and all that, you're not even going to understand what the client actually wants. So you actually have to have a representative speaking to the client. If you charge appropriately, you can be the account manager for your clients. So your client can just go out and sell, bring it to you, and you do account management, and you do the deliverable, you do project management. You can handle all that, but you got to charge for all those services. Okay, that is it. That's it. I'm done. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you all for coming on, asking questions. Hopefully you found this very useful. And if you are a fan of the channel, please like this thing, like other videos, like go back, just go down the list, just click on all the likes. The reason doing all those likes, it really helps build the channel, helps get more exposure. So please help me out after I've just helped you out, and hit some, go through and hit a bunch of like buttons on my videos and make some comments. That would be fantastic. If you have additional questions after this live chat's over, this thing will be on my channel. You can go back, ask additional questions, follow-up questions to the things that I talked about here. And thank you, and thank you. And I'll see you in the next video.